We are Zach and Ashlyn, and we are building our dream off-grid home on our new 50-acre property right here in Kentucky. In last episode, we finished our road and made it to our house site, and in this episode, we are finally breaking ground and starting to build our pole barn. Here we are at our brand new property, and we have made it to our house site, but before we can build this house, we need to build somewhere that we can store some stuff. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be building a pole barn. We've got all of our lumber and everything here already. I've got a skid steer that I'm gonna use to take off all the sod where the pole barn's gonna go. This pole barn is gonna be 24 foot by 32 foot, which we are actually gonna double that at some point, but we're just gonna build this section for now. Later on, we'll add on to it and create a bigger kind of parking garage area for us. Let's get this skid steer off the trailer and start removing this sod. Well, now we've got the sod off this pad, but it's pretty wavy because I'm not the greatest at this skid steer, and we've also got a slight slope to the back corner, so I'm gonna come in again with the skid steer and even this all out, so that way it's nice and even and I can get rid of any waves that I had. I'm getting better at the skid steer, but it's a little bit different than a tractor or an excavator, so it's been taking me some time to get used to it. As you probably know, our new property is a half a mile off the main road, and the closest power pole is right here. This makes powering the things we need to build this home very difficult, but thanks to Oupes, we have a way to power everything we need from anywhere on our property. We have the Oupes Mega 3, and we can do everything from charge our batteries, run our table saw, and even power our house. It's easy to move around, and the best part is Oupes makes solar panels you can use to charge up your portable power station from anywhere. Oupes is having their spring sale starting March 20th through the 31st with extra special deals and free gifts on March 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 29th. They'll have daily giveaways where you can win your very own Exodus 600. If you are going off the grid, taking a camping trip, or just want the peace of mind, click the link in the description for all the great deals at Oupes.com. Since we've got a slope towards this pole barn, I'm gonna go ahead and get the excavator and dig a nice big trench so we can put in a French drain. I'm not gonna actually be putting in the French drain just yet. I'm just gonna be excavating the ditch for the French drain because I can't get gravel right now, so I'll have to do that at a later time. But the reason why I'm digging the trench right now before the pole barn goes in is because with this slope, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to get the excavator in between the pole barn and the slope there. So I figured I'd get it done now and then we can get started on the pole barn, setting the posts and all that good stuff. Well, we got our pole barn pretty roughly marked out, so that way I know exactly where this trench needs to be. And let's get to it. Our trench is all dug, and I basically just made an L with this trench because we've got this hillside over here. We've got the hillside right here closest to me, which is actually gonna be our entrance into this pole barn or this garage. And so basically we just came over this way, out, and then running off. On that side of the pole barn, even though there's a little slope towards it, I'm gonna even that out because we're gonna put a little lean-to off of the pole barn. And then way on that side, we're actually gonna be doubling this pole barn at some point and adding another 32 by 24 foot pole barn, which is just going to be attached, so we'll have one long one. So as I've mentioned in other videos, this is our off-grid property. We are going to be doing solar power. We're going to be harnessing the sun. When we do that, the direction in which we face our home, direction in which we're going to face our solar panels is really important. What we've decided to do on this build is face our house south. We have big, huge windows we're going to put on that southern facing side, and then we're going to have solar panels off to one side of the house. We won't be putting them on the roof or anything. Even on this pole barn, it is important for me to stay straight south because what I think I'm gonna do is from this garage, we're gonna have a breezeway to the house eventually. And so I'm gonna make sure this garage is due south as much as I possibly can. So that way when we build the house, I can pull off of the pole barn and measure off of that for the house site. So that way they're both at least really close to each other. So when I put that breezeway in, it's not like totally off and we are all crooked and everything. So to find south, I can go on my little app on my phone. iPhone has a little compass app, but I don't think it's accurate, and honestly I wouldn't trust it because it's off of navigation and stuff. So I went and bought a little compass as well, so I'll use both of those, the iPhone app and the compass app, just to make sure that I am as south as I possibly can and we're squared up with south on this pole barn, so that way the house is doing the same eventually, because like I said, we'll pull off of this for the house. I already have a good idea of where south is on this pole barn, but before I put in any corner stakes and we start, you know, string line and everything, so I know where my posts are, I'm just gonna make sure that I have this thing totally squared up for south. So I've got my compass here, and so basically I'm gonna lay it flat and see where south is on this. And then wherever I think south is, I'm gonna draw a line with this marking paint so that way I have a decent idea of what angle I need to be at. And I double checked on my compass app on my phone, and that was actually pretty spot on. So I think as long as you have service, this thing works. But sometimes I've opened up the compass app and it's like totally flipped. So north is this way, south is that way. So you really can't trust this thing too much. Cheap little $10 compass helped me make sure that it was on point. Now we've got all four corners marked out. It was a little difficult getting everything squared up because typically it's easier when you got one person on one side, one person on the other, but I made it happen. So it's nice and square, or at least within, I don't know, a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch. So that's good for me. So I've got my 12-inch 3-point auger here, and we're gonna use this to drill down for our holes. And I'm gonna dig down 3 feet for our posts, and we're gonna set them in concrete. We got to prep those holes, and then we'll throw posts in the ground, and then we'll be able to concrete them in place. This is the step where you start to see things come together. We got all the posts in, and some of you are probably having a heart attack when I first put in these couple first posts where I was just lifting them. I probably would have pulled my back out if I had to do all 14 of these, but I found a really good system with the forks on the tractor and just kind of lifting them up, and it was nice and safe and a lot better than me pulling my back. Some of you might be saying, well, Zach, why did you put the posts in the ground? Don't you know the posts are gonna rot? Well, first off, these are pressure treated posts, so they will last a lot longer than a non-treated post. But the reason why I didn't do concrete cylinder with brackets on top and then put the post on top of it outside of the ground was because we get a lot of wind here, especially at this property, and that shear strength is just not very good with those brackets, and I honestly do not trust it. So I decided to put the posts in the ground. I might have to replace them in 20, 30 years, but we're just gonna have to wait and see, and that's a gamble I'm willing to take. If you were wondering, that's why I decided to put them in the ground. It is a beautiful morning today. We need to get started setting these posts in place so that way we can keep chugging along on this. I'm hoping to have this pole barn done here in maybe about a week. We're gonna have to do a lot more than just set posts, but we're moving along, so let's get the tractor going. I've got a really interesting way that I'm gonna have to get water to mix this concrete because we have no water. The nearest water is way at the front of the road. About a half a mile that way we have water. The closest thing we've got is a little pond, so that's what we're gonna be using to gather water so I can mix this concrete up. Because we don't have water all the way over there, we're gonna have to get it out of the pond. The pond's really over there, but it's starting to be over here as well. So we'll have to deal with that issue at some point, but that's for another day. So we're just gonna fill up 5-gallon buckets, put some lids on it, and trek them back and forth when we need water. We got all of our concrete, we got our water in our buckets, our wheelbarrow so we can mix the concrete, and we're gonna start on our corner posts. I've already braced one up just so I can kind of have an idea of how I'm gonna do this, and I think this is gonna work really well. So we're gonna do our corner posts first, so that way those are nice and anchored, and then we'll do our middle posts and we'll be able to kind of go off of the corner posts and connect to those a little bit to hold those ones up. And we might need to put out some other bracing as well, but we'll start with the corners and then we'll go from there.